everyone, my name is Joni and I am a Christian romance author of 5 published novels and 2 devotionals, and I've got an upcoming Christian coming of age romance that's going to be releasing on the 10th of October, which is World Mental Health Day. It is called Whispers of Promise and Glory. I recently did a Kickstarter for it, which funded at £1,002 or $1,350 with 19 backers, and I just wanted to share my experience about how I prepped for my Kickstarter campaign as a Christian romance independent author. So if you are interested in that, then make sure you keep watching. If you've been subscribed to me for a while, you might have been following my journey here. I have been documenting about writing this book. I started writing it way back in 2019, where technically I read the first chapter in 2018, or started writing the first chapter in 2018. But 8 years in the making. But I knew that I wanted to do a Kickstarter when I discovered Kickstarter, which was I think 3 years ago, which was the first time I actually created my Kickstarter account. It was about 3 years ago. I had followed lots of Kickstarter campaigns and seen the amazing things that indie authors could be able to do by creating lots of special editions for their readers, these beautiful books with foiling and character art and sprayed edges and lots of beautiful things that they could do. So this is not something that is available with the popular print on demand retailers like Amazon and Ingram Spark and places like that. I just thought it would be a nice thing to do for my readers, and I chose this particular book because it's kind of different, a little bit different to what I've already published. This book is set in my home country, Cameroon. It's a Christian coming of age romance, heavy on the coming of age, and it has a sweet, no spice romance in it, and it also veers towards the literary fiction side of things because it deals with a lot of complex themes, talking about exploring things like oppression versus freedom, exploring things about about identity in a young person that's growing up and just maturing in their walk with God, exploring the complexities of first love, exploring the complexities of grief and war. so many things in that story, and I love it so much. It's a story of my heart. It's the first story that I'm ever setting in my home country, and this is going to be the start of many more stories because I want to put Cameroon on the map. If you don't know, Cameroon is a West Central African country. It's next to Nigeria, and small country, but we've got beautiful culture, and I want to share more of that. So when I decided to use this book, I just thought it'd be a brilliant book to sort of test out the waters with a Kickstarter because it's kind of different. I want to tap into a new audience and just see what people would be interested in terms of the special editions. So I wanted to share sort of like the research and the stuff that I did to prepare for my campaign. I'd been preparing for years, guys. It's not something that I decided to do overnight. I've been preparing for years. Like I said, first found out about Kickstarter in 2023, decided then I was going to do a Kickstarter for this book even before I started working on the second draft of the book, even before the book was ready, and then I started doing research. So going into research. The first sort of research that I was doing, like I said, was looking at other Kickstarter campaigns. I joined a Facebook group called Kickstarter for Authors. I really, really, really recommend that Facebook group. If you can take nothing from this video, take that advice. Go and join Kickstarter for Authors. The lady who created the group is called Aunt Sharp, and she's the group is so good. They're very helpful. There's some people who have done loads of Kickstarters before. They're very experienced, and if you have any questions, and no silly questions, if you ask questions, that they're going to help you, and they even help you look through your campaign. Like once you've before you launch, you can send a link to your campaign before you launch, and they look through it and they give you feedback. They're very good. But also people posting their campaigns, that you can click and go and look and see what people are doing. If you don't know where to start, you can see how people have set up their campaign page, what they've included in it. If you don't know like what you need to do, you can see, in terms of what people are offering, for their special editions, how they're doing things, which print on demand platforms they're using, how they're doing shipping, are they charging shipping when the customer pledges, or after the Kickstarter campaign. If you have so many questions, that's the place that you need to start. They even have like a starter guide. Like if you go on the page when you're accepted, it directs you to like a starter page where it answers a lot of frequently asked questions. There's links to a lot of resources there for you, and Thea Sharp has even published a book as well about Kickstarter, and there's lots and lots of other videos as well on YouTube about Kickstarter, but I would really, really recommend that Facebook group. The other thing I recommend talking about YouTube videos is an author called Kayla Ann. She did a mini YouTube course about Kickstarter. It's called Kickstarter for Authors. If you just search Kickstarter for Authors by Kayla Ann on YouTube, then it's a free playlist of videos where she literally breaks down all the different stuff about a Kickstarter, like what a Kickstarter is, what a pledge is, how to set up your campaign, what are stretch goals. Like she literally breaks down every single thing, like the pre-marketing, marketing during the campaign, post-marketing. She breaks down everything. So that's the sort of stuff that I did for research. And then I backed a few campaigns. I think by the time I launched my project, I had backed around 5 campaigns. Those are just ones that was interesting. The ones I have backed are usually by Christian authors or Christian fiction, just to support them and just see how they do things, how they go about fulfilling their rewards, how they communicate to their backers. It's good to try and be a backer yourself so that you can see what other authors are doing and you can learn from them. I also follow Bethany Atazada. She has documented her journey for Kickstarter on her YouTube channel. She's a YouTuber, and she has lots and lots of useful videos, and she's very transparent. She literally breaks down in terms of costs and what she spent her money on, how she marketed. I follow her on Instagram as well, and I just got a lot of inspiration from her and how she's done things on Instagram. And there's also another YouTuber called Emily McCosh. She has done quite a lot of Kickstarters as well. She doesn't have as many followers as Bethany, but her Kickstarters have done really, really well. So you can follow her, and I think she did a video as well. If you type Kickstarter for Authors by Emily McCosh on YouTube, then I think you should be able to find her video where she talks about the stuff that she's learned and tips and things like that. So yeah, research. You need to do a lot of research. So that's the first step of prepping for a Kickstarter campaign. You need to you need to do your research, and you need to know whether that's actually what you want to do. In terms of deciding when I wanted to launch, basically I had decided that I had known for like 2 years, or at least 2 years, that I wanted to launch this book on World Mental Health Day, which is the 10th of October. And basically because the book, I'm launching it at the same time as my Christian mental wellness non-profit organization in Cameroon called the Love Qualified Foundation. And basically you have to then calculate, because if you're going to do a public release, you have to then decide when you're going to the Kickstarter. It needs to be a few months before the public release, because one of the perks of people backing the Kickstarter campaign is that they're going to get the books at least a few months before the actual book launches publicly, because that's one of the perks of joining the Kickstarter. So I had calculated everything. I knew my book was going to be completely finalized before the campaign goes live, and I was going to have the physical copies all, I worked really hard to make sure that I actually had the physical copies. I had the proofs with me before the campaign went live so that I could actually make videos and show people what the product looked like. So I knew that I wouldn't need to do any more formatting or any editing after the campaign finishes. So I knew that I could fulfill the rewards quite quickly, especially with sending the ebooks. And then all I just needed to do was wait for the Kickstarter funds to come to me, and then I was going to start ordering the paperbacks and the hardcovers. So with me, I have a tight deadline, like a tight fulfillment deadline. So I ran my Kickstarter in July, which is literally 3 months before August, September, 3 months before the public release. And I knew that I was going to get all the information, everything that I need, the funds, by the end of August. So we're in August now, and then I'm going to start my fulfillment in September, and I'm going to make sure that I do the fulfillment in September, so that my backers get it at least a few weeks before the public release in October. So I'm cutting it quite tight. I could have launched in June, but you know, it wasn't ready, so my covers and things weren't ready. June would have been an ideal time so that I could have done the fulfillment in August, but yeah, that's how I decided on my timeline. I had to make sure that my 2 covers were ready. I needed to do the covers for the 2 hardcovers, the 2 paperbacks for both Ingram Spark and Book Vault. I had to make sure that I had to order proof copies for the 2 paperbacks and 2 covers because I was and the 2 hardcovers because I was offering 2 cover options. So I had to make sure that all of that was good before I decided on a launch date. So I had to give myself enough time. So you need to give yourself time, basically, and you need to make sure that I think the more time you give yourself, the better, rather than you cutting it really, really close and then you don't meet the deadline. So you just have to think about that when you're thinking about when to launch. And in terms of working on the product itself, so the way I decided what kind of product to go for, so I wanted to do special editions. So some people do Kickstarters to fund maybe like the audiobooks for their Kickstarters, the audiobooks for their books, sorry. Some people do special editions for books that have already been released. Some people do special editions for books that are about to release, which is what I'm doing. And basically I'm doing completely different products. So the special edition ebook, the special edition paperback, and the special edition hardcovers. So these aren't going to be available with the public release in October. So this is an exclusive feature to the Kickstarter. Well, they're going to be available later on my website, but like people who back on Kickstarter, they basically get it way sooner than everybody else. And what makes it special is that it had things like character art in it. It has sprayed edges or forced edges for the paperback, sprayed edges for the hardcovers. It had like a exclusive bonus chapter in there from the main male character's point of view that was also digitally annotated by me. It had, you know, lots and lots of other perks. There's a Cameroonian meal recipe in there, the book's playlist. So quite a few things in there that I packed in there that you're not going to get in the public release. And I also offered some like book boxes as well with some fun merch things that I offered that are related to the book, so kind of like an immersive book box. That's one of the things I'm offering, one of the tiers that's not going to be available to anyone else. So Kickstarter was kind of like a fun special thing that I could do for my readers to try and, you know, celebrate the launch of the book. So that's how I kind of decided I wanted it to be something different. I wanted it to be very different from the public release, and I just wanted to do this fun thing for my readers, and that's how I decided on the product. So I decided to have sort of lower tiers and then work my way up to higher tiers as well. Obviously the lowest tier was the naming your acknowledgements. In the acknowledgement section, I think that was only about £5, and then the ebook was £7, because I know not a lot of people would be able to afford the paperback and the hardcover because it cost a lot to print these special editions. So I wanted to make sure that people would be able to afford it. So yeah, there's a £7 for the ebooks, then there's the paperbacks, which is medium, and then there's a hardcover obviously, which is more expensive than everything else. But then I also wanted to have like a premium tier, like a tier that is over £100. So I offered the book boxes as well. So you've got the paperback book box and the hardcover book box, which is the most expensive tier, and that's how I worked everything out. I was in 2 minds. I wanted to do a book club bundle as well, but then I changed my mind in the end and I decided to go for a book box because I thought it was a bit more interesting, where you can offer like an immersive experience where readers can, you know, experience the book, you know, and you're going to put in items that are related to the book and they're going to have an immersive experience that way. I thought that felt a bit better, and I could sell that a bit more than just say, okay, for your book club and stuff like that. So I'm glad I did that, because I actually had people get the paper. One person got the paperback book box, and so far another person has gotten the hardcover book box. So yeah, that's how I decided on sort of like my base offers and my tiers. In terms of stretch goals, I knew that I did not want to put stretch goals that would require me to spend more money later, because I'm very my margins, like my profit margins, I really wanted to get profit from this, because I spent ages working on this and I just wanted to get something out of it, you know. It's a lot of work. I've been working on the campaign for over a year. Like just doing everything, and if you can if you want to count research, then it would be about 3 years, just me leading up to this. So I wanted to really get like a good amount of profit there. So I decided that for my stretch goals, I was going to do more time, things that will require more of my time than things that would require me to pay money, if you see what I mean. So if you look at my stretch goals list, the first thing I did included was like a handwritten note that I was going to include into the book. That was already done before the campaign launched, so we just needed to reach that £1,000 goal, which we did, and it's going to be included in all formats of the book. The second stretch goal was an author commentary, which I was going to go chapter by chapter and write notes, things about the characters, inspiration, things like that, just like help the reader have a more sort of behind the scenes experience about my creative process. So if we had met that stretch goal, which is £1,500, I would have done that as well, which would have taken a lot of my time, but I'd rather do that than choose a stretch goal where I'd have to pay more money and collect from my profit, if you see what I mean. But I know that there's other authors who choose things like, if we reach this stretch goal, we're going to add foiling to the hardcovers. If we reach this stretch goal, we're going to add like an additional character art, or we're going to add another bookmark, or we're going to add something. So you can choose whatever you want, as long as you're calculating like your profits and making sure that basically you need to calculate. You need to do a lot of maths when it comes to this Kickstarter to make sure that you're not going to end up in the negative, because it's not going to be worth it. Like, it's really not going to be worth it. So that's how I decided on my stretch goals. But anyway, we only met one stretch goal, which is okay. I'm still very glad that we met the stretch goal. And I'm happy to do that handwritten note to personalize the special editions in that way. In terms of deciding on which printer to use, now I live in the UK, I'm based in the UK. There are quite a few options. Again, if you go on the Kickstarter for Authors page, you will see what people are using. But I decided to go with BookVault. BookVault is based in the UK, and BookVault offers like a not print on demand, but like drop shipping option where I don't have to order the books to me. I can literally go on there, put in the customer's address, and send the books to them, like send the hardcovers to them. And then for the paperbacks, I'm using Ingram Spark. The reason why I'm using Ingram Spark and not BookVault, I was going to use BookVault for both of them, but BookVault, the printing for the forced edges for the paperback is not very good, and they told me that they're not going to guarantee that it's going to be good. So I don't want to be drop shipping to readers when I'm actually not sure if it's going to come out well or not. So I'm using Ingram Spark because I've gotten proofs from Ingram Spark and the forced edges are perfect. So that's why I'm using Ingram Spark, because I can drop ship as well to the readers. So I'm using those two because it helps me to drop ship. For the book boxes, obviously I'm going to have to order the books to me and then ship to the customers. And I also decided to do for the readers who have ordered physical swag, I'm going to be drop shipping their books to them and then sending the swag in a separate parcel, as a separate parcel. I just think that it's going to work out cheaper that way than me getting the books to me and then sending it to the customer, because I'm going to have to include the shipping to me. I'm going to have to include that into the price, and I didn't want I didn't want the products to be too expensive, so I just worked out that it's going to be easier and cheaper for the customer to do it that way. So that's how I decided on shipping. And I also decided that I was going to charge shipping when the customer does the pledge. So again, with using BookVault, I was able to calculate the shipping expenses because I'm going to use them to drop ship anyway. And I just used the same shipping prices for both. I just estimated that it's going to be about the same for Ingram Spark. I hope so. I really hope so. So yeah, because Ingram Spark doesn't let you see the shipping prices unless you actually have the address of the customer, which is really, really annoying. But I'm hoping that it's going to be similar and I'm not going to lose too much money, but I'll let you guys know when I do my fulfilling vlog. Now, the other thing was in terms of making my graphics and actually, putting the campaign together. I use Canva to make my graphics. You need to the main thing that you would hear them say on the Kickstarter for Authors page is to really make the campaign very visually pleasing, like visual, that you need to have lots and lots of graphics. I'm not a graphic designer, I'm not very good with graphics, but I tried my best, so I use Canva, put some things together, and also you look at other people's campaigns, see what they're doing, see what kind of graphics they're doing. I made GIFs for the book, to separate the text. I made all the headers for all the different sections, made it a bit colorful. I did like mock-ups. Again, I still use Canva to do mock-ups to show the sprayed edges, and to show all the features of the special editions. I just use Canva for those, and I just made sure I use as many graphics as possible, and I just went with it. So yeah. And in terms of knowing when my campaign was ready is when I had filled in all the sections, and I had looked at my campaign and the other campaigns that I followed, and just seen what they had done and what I had done, and just made sure that I included as many things as possible. The one thing that, like I said before, you can do with the Kickstarter for Authors page is that you can send in your campaign for review, and then they can give you feedback. I didn't do that because I was happy with my campaign, and I didn't want like external stuff to sort of like make me doubt myself again. I guess I could still have done that, but I decided not to because I think I was happy with the way my campaign looked. So maybe next time when I do my second Kickstarter, I'm going to actually put it through the on the Facebook group to ask people to give me feedback. But this time around, I just didn't think I needed to do that. But that's one way of knowing whether your campaign is ready, by sending the link into the group. They're going to give you lots of feedback. If you get lots and lots of positive things and just minor changes, minor tweaks here and there, then it's ready. Or they might suggest things or let you know that you need to change some things, and then okay, you're not ready to launch, you need to change things. I had just known that for a lot of the successful campaigns, I had just gotten inspiration from what they'd done, and I tried to do that with my campaign as well. So I knew that I had hit all like the tick boxes and stuff like that. So I follow loads of campaigns. So I just knew that it was ready by the time I'd gone through all of my stuff and I'd included all the information about it. There's quite a few sections, important sections, that you need to include in your campaign. So again, looking at other people's campaigns and what they've done, what they've included, will help you as well to know what you're going to include in your campaign, so that you're going to be able to invite the reader in and to hook them to look at the products so they can back you and support your campaign. So that's basically all the stuff that I did. I am going to talk, like, the video is already almost 25 minutes long now, so in a separate video I'm going to talk about how I marketed the Kickstarter and all the things that I did to help raise the £1,000 or $1,350 for my very first Kickstarter campaign. And let me tell you, the marketing was a lot. Spoiler alert, it was a lot of marketing, but I enjoyed it. So in the next video I'm going to talk about marketing. But yes, that's all the stuff that I did to prepare. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you have any other questions, any other things that you'd like to know about Kickstarters, and if there's stuff that you need to know, just leave a comment down below and I'll be more than happy to answer. Remember that the sovereign love of the one true God has qualified you to be his beloved one. Take care and God bless you. Mwah. Bye.